All right, the next bit of news is mass exodus from UAE. Okay, this is BBC.com. What it says is the coronavirus is threatening expat exodus from UAE. The article speaks about a couple, that is Ligia and Robert, with their 10-month-old daughter. They are Brazilians. They worked in the travel industry. They made a good amount of money, but now they've lost their jobs due to the economic fallout of the coronavirus pandemic. Now, with no new employment opportunities in sight, zero income, it seems they cannot afford to stay there anymore because UAE is not a cheap place. And obviously, if you try to live like, you try to live a very luxurious life, you cannot survive there. So in this article, it kind of points out this is one of the reasons why people are actually leaving UAE. And here it says about Oxford Economics, a UK-based advisory firm, estimates that United Arab Emirates could lose 900,000 jobs among a population of 10 million. That means 10% of the residents could be uprooted. Okay, so for every 10 people, one person will lose their job. Karen Young, a Middle East specialist in the US-based American Enterprise Institute, does not expect the situation in UAE to change anytime soon. But as most business surveys show, companies that are not hiring at all, with employment levels lower than the baseline. The next 9 to 12 months will be a period of retrenchment. You'll be continuing seeing people leaving. There will not be many new employment opportunities. I would say that, yes, you're absolutely right, that companies are terminating people and they will continue to do so, especially the big multinational companies. But where I beg to differ is that doesn't mean everyone is going to leave UAE. There will be many people who they don't have another option. They don't have another place to go. They don't have a choice. So when they don't have a choice, they'll do whatever it takes to survive and sustain. So many of them start their own businesses. Many of them work as independent consultants. Many of them work illegally. Some of them even take another company's visa and they try to grind it out. So they will always be these people who will try to survive and sustain no matter what. Because keep in mind, when you are, if you're single, you can just pack your bags and leave. But if you have a wife, if you have children, if you have parents, and if you have families that depend on you, you can't just leave. It's not an option. So, and even if they do go back, let's assume they go back to Pakistan or India or Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, where they came from, they're not going to get any opportunities there because they're going to say that you're not in this country for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Why are you back now? Who wants you? Nobody wants you. So this is where they tend to get into trouble. Okay. Furthermore, it says here, that, it kind of points out to the other countries who are doing the same, like Kuwait. In July, Kuwait National Assembly approved a draft intended to reduce the presence of expatriates from 70% to 30%. So imagine 40%, they'll be forced to just leave. So from Kuwait, they'll try to go to some other place like Dubai, Saudi, Bahrain, Oman also they can't go. Oman, talking about Oman, they have decided they're not going to renew many people's visas, and from government companies, they're being asked to leave. Bahrain and Saudi is also starting Bahrainization, Saudiization. Kuwait has introduced a new bill whereby, I spoke about Kuwait. Then in terms of UAE is dependent on foreign tourism, is dependent on expats. If they remove all the expats, forget expats, if they remove just the Indians, they can't function. Because Indians is the highest population in the world, apart from Chinese. So these countries, they need them. They can't survive without them. See, the International Monetary Fund forecasts that the Middle East is headed for economic downturn this year. It'll be worse than 2008, 2009, which has already been proved. And last month, Dubai took a couple of steps to revive its economy. That is, one is a retiree visa program, where high net worth foreigners over the age of 55 can get 5-year visa. They also started this 10-year visa. They started this new property law where you can buy property and get certain benefits. They're revising the bankruptcy law. But the problem is you revise all these laws, but putting pen to paper is easy. But implementation of these rules, nobody knows. I'll give you proof of this. Go to any government department, ask them what you read in the paper, and ask this guy who's sitting in the government department, what do you think about this? Most of them, majority of them, they don't know what the hell is happening. They'll be like, no, I didn't get any instructions from my boss. I don't know if this is happening or not happening. So the problem is most of the news that they mentioned in the papers is only for media, is only for the papers. The best example of this is the COVID restrictions. Just check these Facebook groups where these expatriates are, trying to come into UAE. Many of them are trying to sign in. They can't sign in. Many of them are trying to get the visa, but once they land, they realize, oh, the laws have changed, the policies changed. There's so much of confusion. So I think what UAE needs is a system whereby what they say is actually implemented, and you don't change the rules every day. Like, one of my previous videos, I said it. You change rules like you change your underwear. You change your rules so many times. People in UAE, they themselves don't know what the hell is happening. They're like, I'm confused, man. I don't know. January, there was something else. February, something else. March, something else. Every month, they're coming out with a new rule. So when you factor in fake news on top of the hype that they give you, on top of the bullshit that they give you, on top of the news that changes every time, people are just confused, That's at least what I believe. The next one is CNBC. It says here, these cities are at risk of the housing bubble as home prices are decimated. Okay, here what it says is the cities are at risk of the housing bubble. Europe appears to have the greatest risk of the housing heat, along with Hong Kong. Hong Kong is because of the problem that is taking place. All the citizens are protesting. Hong Kong is destroyed. It used to be the most stable economy in the world. Today, it's the worst. Toronto is the only major North American city that was found to be at risk of the housing bubble, which is pretty surprising. Canada. Then housing values fell out of 4 out of the 25 cities. And I was pretty surprised to hear the names. One was Madrid, San Francisco, Hong Kong, and the biggest surprise of all was Dubai. Okay, so I kind of know this because I have friends who have had property value. Like one guy, he has 3 million. Another client of mine has a 5 million house. He's trying to sell it even at half price. He's not getting a buyer. Just imagine this. What was 3 million? He's trying to sell it at half price. He's not getting a buyer. So, well, anyway. Next one is global traffic is down by 20% and hotel by 80%. Passengers traffic was reduced a further of 20%. Hotel occupancy rates fell by another 80%. And Emirates, the official carrier, has laid more than 10% of its workforce. I remember there was this news article that came out in, I think, June or July, where Sheikh Ahmed said that occupancy rate has shot up by 80%. The problem is one day you say it has shot up 80%, next day it has shot down by 80%. I mean, that is why people don't believe the news that is in UAE at least. Okay, international news, I'm pretty sure this is not going to be shared anywhere. It says Emirates Airlines has been fined over JetBlue code-sharing flights in Iran airspace. October 2nd, Middle East carrier Emirates is said to be fined by US Department of Transportation for operating services through Iranian airspace while carrying a code-sharing with US budget operator JetBlue. Pretty sure this will not be mentioned by Gulf News or Khaleej Times or national newspaper. If it is, let me know. So these are the kinds of news that do not show in UAE. And then finally, we have US warns not to use Chinese tests from the UAE. This is AP Associated Press News. US warned Nevada not to use Chinese COVID tests from UAE. I wonder why. Dated 15th October 2020. Over concerns over patient privacy, test accuracy, and the Chinese government involvement. It's a project involving Chinese firm BGI Group, which is the world's largest genetic sequencing company. Wow. Okay. Which has expanded its reach during the coronavirus pandemic. Many people are saying that China planned this out so that it could start supplying and make the whole world dependent on it for its medicines and technology. But then again, how can you prove this? Okay, in April, the UAE announced its interest in donating an estimated $12 million worth of coronavirus test kits to Nevada. UAE has so much money that it can donate to USA, but then it can't pay its own loans. I wonder why. Okay. The unusual offer came at a time when Nevada, like every other state, were mad scrambling for mounting COVID-19 cases and shortage of test kits. Nevada had shut down its Las Vegas casinos, and the power of the state as it rushed to set up temporary hospitals, stockpile ventilators, and assemble test kits. Now, what is the reason why UAE wants to donate to Nevada? UAE is nobody's friend. It does everything in terms of business. So why? So here it says, the UAE's oil-fueled sovereign wealth funds and state-owned enterprise have long eyed Las Vegas as an investment opportunity. Its biggest investment, the state-owned Dubai firm, partnered up with MGM Resorts to build Las Vegas' $9.2 billion multi-resort city center development. I begin to wonder, UAE portrays itself as Islamic state, as following Islamic values, but then you get into gambling, and in Las Vegas, there's not only gambling, there's booze, there's alcohol, there's women. So how do you make sense of Islam, Allah, and gambling and women? And see, for me, personally speaking, like I have Muslim friends. They say, Lloyd, why do you keep dragging Islam and Muslims? I'll tell you, it's very simple. Why don't you just be honest and say, we are Muslims, okay? Islam is our religion, but we live a very westernized life. We like women. We enjoy booze. Say it openly. Why do you come out with these bloody rules? This is Sharia law. He slept with this lady outside marriage. He should be jailed. He should be stoned. He should get lashes. Don't have those fucking rules then. Just have it. We are open-minded. You can sleep with anyone, have sex with anyone, do whatever the fuck you want. Don't have two standards. Don't portray yourself as we pray to Allah and this and that. We are holy-poly, and then this is haram. But then you invest in a... If you call a spade, nobody's going to point fucking fingers. Like, for example, Christians. There is gay, there is homosexuals, there's transgender, smoking, drinking, drugs, there's that. They do all that shit. But they don't go around stoning people for being gay. They don't go around, someone has a child out of wedlock or something. Oh, you should be whipped or killed or this and that. Why the fuck do you have all that? And then you bring in the equation of God into everything. Like that, the chopping of that guy's head for drawing a cartoon. That is a fucking... It pisses you off where you get hurt by looking at a cartoon, so you hurt someone by killing them. That is okay. See, for me, I feel that is wrong. I understand that there are gay Muslims, there are lesbian Muslims, there are Muslims who smoke and drink, they who do drugs. I'm totally okay with that. Who sleep around. Yes, there are Christians who do that. Yes, there are Hindus who do that. Yes, there are atheists who do that. Yes. But then, don't portray your religion as being special. Don't portray yourself as being holy. Let's be real. Let's talk real. If Dubai stops portraying itself as we are, Islamic country, no. Just say we are a progressive country. We are a progressive Muslim state. Fine. Then I'm cool with that. Don't start having one rule for Emiratis, one rule for Muslims, one rule for Christians. In fact, I want you to Google search this article, okay, and give me your thoughts and tell me what do you think. The article, let me just open this link. It's from The Guardian, okay. Read this article, dated 12th October 2020, where they are punishing women who have children out of wedlock. They're punishing them because it goes against the laws of Islam. So this is where I have a problem. So you let me know your thoughts. I'm pretty open. I keep, I keep your conversations, your comments. If you think I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Okay, let's move on to the next article.